The Lord is releasing a spirit of worship on your country. And there's going to be a depth to your praise. Like hasn't been seen before. And an intensity to it. A zeal that God has placed in you as a people. And not just like a 6-month kind of thing, like a lifelong passion that doesn't release you. It just wraps itself around you, and it's there for the long haul. I felt this last time I was down here. I just felt like this country is like dry tinder. It's like dry wood. It's all the right things are there. And it's just waiting in some ways for a match to strike. And there are obstacles in some ways in the States and in different parts of the world that there are no obstacles here to what God wants to do. And it's just sweet to be a part of it, to see God birthing something so very, very precious in your country and in you as a people. You know, a sound that's in you that, is precious. It's going to do something in the earth. And it's not just about, what's happening in the United States. It is about what's happening here and what God is doing, what he's birthing in every people. But anyway, I'm not going to talk long. I feel like what God is doing around the globe, it's not just, he's making the main thing again. And the main thing is his presence. It was always supposed to be the distinguishing mark on the people of God. It wasn't supposed to be our music or our teaching or our bumper stickers or our T-shirts or anything else. None of those things were supposed to be that person is a Christian or, whatever. They weren't supposed to be the recognizable things. What was supposed to be the distinguishing mark on us as a people was him, was his presence on us. And it's not about the program, It just isn't. I realize people come to church for lots and lots of things, but there's going to be a day when they come for one thing. And that one thing is they're going to come to meet with God himself. They're going to come to experience God himself. That's going to be the thing. That's going to be the buzzword. Did you see what God did? It wasn't, Jeremy sang so nice today in church. It's not going to be about what a great sermon, the pastor taught, which, let's keep preaching sermons and all that good stuff. I'm not against those things. I'm just saying those things aren't going to be the drawing factor. People are going to hear that God is on the move. They're going to hear that he's doing things, that he's breaking out in meetings and in places. And I tell you what, there is one universal hunger. You can go anywhere in the world, and people are longing. They're starving for an encounter with God. And this is a mandate. Bill Johnson, our senior pastor, says we owe the world an encounter. That's what we're here for. If not, let's just skip the hard part of life and go straight to heaven. We're here to give the world an encounter of who he is, what he's like, and what he does in people's lives. He redeems, he heals, he makes new. That's what we're about. That's what we're supposed to be about. And it's very simple how you make a meeting about him. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. Number one, worship like he's in the building. It's not like worship like he's standing right in front of you. Like don't worship like he's a million miles away. Sometimes I think we get used to doing church like God is far away. When the reality is he is not far away at all. He is in our midst. And it changes. Everything changes when we begin to worship like he's there, when we begin to experience him. We've had this strange, wonderful, glorious, weird thing that's been happening at Bethel. And And I'll never forget it. And I talk about it a lot just because I never thought that I would physically see the glory of God manifest in a room. Like, of all the things, I've dreamed about or had an expectation for, I don't know why. I don't know why I've never expected God to actually physically show up in a room before, but I just never have. It's never, it's always been about, oh, well, we can do songs better or, whatever. But I remember we were playing a worship set. I think I was playing with John Paul, and we were playing a bad set. How many people have ever led worship here? Anybody? Nobody. You can just use your imaginations. When you're playing a good worship set, it's a bit like heaven come to earth. When you're playing a bad worship session, it's the total opposite. Yeah, it's like pulling teeth or something. I don't know, but it wasn't a happy time, and I was really hoping that someone would just come up and close the service, and so I could, just be done because I was tired and cranky. But I remember throwing up a half-hearted prayer to the Lord. It wasn't this faith-filled exhortation declaration kind of a thing. It was just like, I was like, we wait for you to come and show your glory here today. And I sang it like 3 times, and then I just kind of gave up, after that. And we were going to move on to another song. And right before we did, this glory cloud began to swirl up in the ceiling. And we only knew how to recognize it because people would kind of scream and shout, when it would happen, and they would get out their iPads and their iPhones and they would try and take pictures of it, But a lot of times when it happened, the whole service had stopped and just kind of watched it, and but this time we didn't stop. We just kept worshiping. But the second that began to happen, it was like electricity just shot through the room, and all of a sudden, everything shifted. Everything changed. All of a sudden, worship wasn't hard anymore. All of a sudden, it was like, what's going on? And no one was paying attention to us. Like, we weren't the center of attention. The band wasn't the center of attention anymore. Every eye was lifted towards heaven. And we began to worship, and hands were raised. And I led a song that I've never led before up until that moment, and it's now quite well known. It's a song called Our Father. But I'd never led the song up until that point. But I felt it so strongly, and as we began to sing it, and yours is the kingdom, yours is the power, and yours is the glory forevermore, it just began to intensify and increase to the point where I could finally see it, because normally you had to see it in the lights, but it just began to materialize and kind of swirl on the stage, and it is the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I am like, Lord, please let that just be a taste. And I think, guys, it's just a taste of what he wants to do. Like, why should the Bible and the Old Testament have all the stories of his manifest presence and his manifest glory, Like, I just think he's waiting for a people to rise up, to hunger, to press in, to pursue, to give him space to be God, to learn to wait on him. We have this passion in our church of hosting his presence. It's what makes the whole church, the whole thing that we do. That's all that we really care to do, is just make a place for God to be God. And you'd be amazed how few people are willing to do that. And here's why: because it gets awkward. Like, you guys catch the highlights. You catch the YouTube clips that are awesome, that are like, wow, that finally happened. Something broke through. But you might have missed the hour and a half of agony that it took to get to that moment. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I mean, I don't know how many times we've been waiting or been a part of a worship service, and it's been awkward. It's been like, should we move on? I don't know. Should we play another song? I have no clue. And let's just wait, And half the people are sitting down. It's not like they're having an encounter. They're ready for us to move on too, And then for some reason, though, when we've waited, when we've pressed in, when we've sensed that he's doing something, and we've just not done some nervous activity, all of a sudden, heaven breaks in. And he's so faithful to come to those that wait, to those that are patient, to those that don't want to just have a one-way street where we sing songs, we preach sermons, but we don't ever wait for God to come and be God. You know, I want to exhort you guys to be a people that say, God, be God in our midst. We're going to wait for you. We're going to hold out. We're going to go after the things that are in your heart. And if you create a space for him, it will be like honey, and the world is a big bee. That's a terrible illustration. That's just what came out. It's like you become a flame, and the world is a moth. I don't know what works for you guys. You become the most attractive thing on the planet when you become a people that host him, because he is the most attractive thing on the planet, and every heart is hungry for an experience of him. So that's it. I'm just going to pray, and I guess we're going to close, yeah? All right, let's do it.